Welcome back! At the advice of the bookstore owner, we're going to check out the docks to talk to the ferryman. And since this is the only direction we hadn't gone yet, it must be in this way. We came across this large house where there is apparently a slave girl being mistreated. Now, if I know my King's Quest games, we're gonna have to help her at some point. However, not yet.
Alexander is standing on a dirt street leading through the village. To his right is a fine house with a private yard. The yard is surrounded by a gated fence and is full of red rose hedges. The street continues off to the northwest, from which direction Alexander can feel a light sea breeze.
Well, that seems to indicate that there might be at least a sea in that direction, if not the docks.
Red roses beautifully cover the top of the house's fence and gate arbor.
It's quite nice. Can we take a rose?
Alexander has not been invited to pick the family's roses.
Alexander is much too nice for an adventure game character.
The gate is closed. It appears that the house's owners like their privacy. Alexander doesn't want to intrude on private property unless he's been invited.
It's never stopped us before.
Palm trees, as graceful as gazelles, wave in the warm tropical breeze.
That's a weird comparison. Anyway, let's move on.
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
Wow, that sounds pretty sweet, actually. I mean, we, want to go to the other islands, I guess. That would be a better way to learn about them than talking to the ferryman. So, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Good day. I'm Alexander. What are you doing in the sea?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm swimming. I mean, come join me. The water's wonderful. I can show you the way to the next island.
Well, I guess it must be safe here, considering he's swimming. So, unlike on the other side of the island, I suppose we can swim here too. Let's try it.
Considering the poor condition of the shore, it looks like the easiest way to get into the water is just to jump off the pier. The powerful currents grab Alexander. Struggle as he might, he feels himself being pulled out to sea.
Oops.
Not a very good swimmer, are you?
Help me!
Sorry, I think not.
As his head submerges for the third time, Alexander finds himself pondering the wisdom of going out on a limb for a stranger.
Well, that didn't end well.
Next. Alexander couldn't handle those currents. That boy must be an unbelievably strong swimmer.
Yeah, seems like it. Weird.
Come on, jump in. A little water won't hurt you.
Yes, it will. And you're gonna stand by and let me die. Wait a second, did this guy
What are you
also
waiting
have...
for? I said I'd show you how to get to the next island, didn't I?
Does this guy also have glowing yellow eyes?
A young boy is happily swimming in the sea off the docks.
How many people are there in this kingdom with eyes like that?
That's strange. The young boy in the water just disappeared. Oh well, perhaps he just dove under the water.
Stranger and stranger. Let's see. Well, we found the ferry, or what's left of it, it seems.
A worn wooden vessel has been dry docked on a jetty. The boat is in sad shape. A hole in the hull and the condition of its boards make it obvious that the vessel is no longer seaworthy.
That's pretty strange, considering how important this ferry is to the islands. According to the guidebook, it's the only ferry capable of going to the other islands. So without this ferry, there is no travel between the islands. Why would they let such an important vessel fall into disrepair?
Alexander can see the peaks of another island on the horizon.
I guess that's the Isle of the Sacred Mountain then. But without this ferry, we're not going there. Okay, well, let's see if the ferryman is at home.
Yeah, what do you want?
We want to talk to you.
Alexander promised. Alexander.
Excuse me. My name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if you have a moment.
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why. The ferry's not running, you know.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the islands if you don't mind.
Well, I guess it'd be all right if Allie sent you. Well, don't just stand there. Come on inside.
I think if you haven't talked to Ali, he won't let you in.
What is it you wanted to talk about, young man?
Well, the land of the Green Isles.
I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what I can about the area.
So you said outside. What is it you want to know?
Well, for one thing, why has the island's only ferry been dry docked?
Huh. It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir Al-Hazred ordered the ferry closed till things settled down. Me, I don't think she'll ever see water again.
But why are the islands feuding?
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame. Things used to be so friendly.
Then this unrest is recent.
A few years is all, but it's been long enough.
Perhaps if the ferry were repaired.
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even seaworthy. Her boards have dry rot. She'd fall apart at the first taste of seawater.
But there must be some way to get off this island.
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more about that than I can, Alexander.
A magic map? Now that sounds awfully familiar.
Tell me more about the ferry.
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Cassima themselves. There was no thought of danger back then. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip. Things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cassima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading these lies, she asked the Queen, but the Queen had no answer.
What's going on here? I mean, the guidebook described this as such a nice place. It seems things have changed a lot since then.
What do you do now that the ferry no longer operates?
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations. I'm the only one trained to avoid the reef and the rocks. But that knowledge does me no good now.
Is there no other boat on the island? One that might be more seaworthy?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or was, the only craft on the island.
So definitely no other way to travel except for that magic map.
Tell me more about Princess Cassima.
Ah, such a beautiful child, and so pure of heart. Why, a contrary thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen, they served the islands, not the other way around, always thinking about the people. Ah, they are sorely missed.
Indeed. I guess the death of the king and queen would be partly responsible for the situation, although from the sounds of it, the trouble between the islands actually started before then.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately, you can't get very far onto the island.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see. If you ever get to see them, that is.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty. She's the finest palace ever built, I'll warrant.
Perhaps.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world to the next. Of course, that's just silly talk.
The bookshop owner said something similar.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
Now you're just repeating yourself. Does seem like he has quite a cozy home here in the broken ferry.
Alexander is sitting inside the ferry's cabin. The place displays the neatness of a seaman and the sparseness of a bachelor. There are few frills and comforts in the rough wooden environment, but the sunlight shines cheerily on the oaken beams, and the portholes admit a pleasant breeze. The ferryman's bunk looks hard and uncomfortable. No wonder he can be so cranky.
Well, I guess he's used to it by now. There's something on this table.
There's a rabbit's foot on the table. It seems the ferryman is counting on a little luck.
Maybe we can ask him about that.
I see you have a rabbit's foot. Has it brought you much luck?
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now, despite that old charm. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn thing away will bring me good fortune at last.
Perhaps it will at that. Thank you.
Well, I guess having a good luck charm won't hurt. Although it won't help either. I mean, I'm not a superstitious man. Well, that's all we need from here, so let's bid farewell to the ferryman.
Well, I think I'll be going now. Thanks for allowing me into your home.
Posh, not at all. It breaks the boredom, if you know what I mean.
Poor fellow. Okay, well, we'll go and go back to the village and see if we can talk to the pawn shop owner about that magic map in the next video.